You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sara J. Loureiro.
All right, welcome everyone. I am so excited to have the Amanda Marit on the podcast today. I have been stalking her Instagram for quite a few months now. It's you guys should really check it out. It's amazing. How are you, Amanda?
Thank you so much for that. And it's so good to be here. I'm doing wonderful and grateful that you invited me to be on.
Yeah. So Amanda is an intuitive, a business coach, and creator of Soul Mastery coaching certification, which is going on right now. I've been seeing all of your updates about it.
Yes, I'm so excited.
She's also a dog lover, and she has her little baby on her lap.
She's right here hanging out. She has to be a part of everything.
All right. So I'm really, really excited to get into this one and really in specific talk about what brought you here, right? Like all of the different divine interventions, all the stuff that you went through to get to where you are today. Let's talk about that.
Oh my gosh, we could be here all day. So I'm going to just ask that I be given a way to share this in a succinct way. So it all started for me. Well, I've always felt different than everyone. And now it makes sense. But my whole life, I never felt like I truly fit. And even though I had friends, I still felt like something was different about me. Not that I was better or worse than them, just different. And my childhood all the way through, even the beginning part of college, I really struggled with confidence, really struggled. And I felt depressed. I know through high school, I went to Catholic high school and I hated it. I was miserable. It was a really small school. And I felt like I didn't fit. And I remember going to my car. I was just thinking about this a couple of days ago when I was really just diving deep on some things within myself. Like I was so unhappy. I used to cry every single day and I felt depressed. And I remember writing in my journal and just feeling like praying for something to change. And it's really cool to see now how far I've come and how much has evolved looking back. So even if you're listening to this and you can resonate with that, it's just so cool to see how life can shift for us when we start to really own who we are and step into our truth more, which I'll talk about. But beyond that, I really struggled with dating men. I dated all the wrong kind of men, and it wasn't their fault. It was me not valuing, seeing my value, seeing my worth in myself, and not owning it, and just lack so much confidence in those kind of relationships. And so anyway, long story short, I have always been this stubborn person who I knew I was meant for something really big and I didn't know what it was. Right. And so going through college, even I remember leaving college, I just felt like I have to get out. I grew up in Michigan. I felt like I had to get out and go somewhere where there was more possibility and more opportunity. And I moved by myself to Florida really quickly. I manifested this amazing job. A couple weeks before I moved a couple weeks after I accepted the job. It was crazy how it all kind of turned out. And I realized, like when we decide that we want something, the door is open for us to be supported when we decide. And I was so clear and I made this decision. I'm moving to Florida. I'm getting out of here. And it happened so quickly. And I had a 7-year corporate career, climbed the ladder, was very confident in business. That I never had an issue with. I was always confident in business, but still my love life was a hot mess to say the least. And I just lacked a lot of self-worth in myself. And it came to a point where I was in this on and off dating thing with this man who I'm so grateful for looking back, because he was the catalyst for my biggest transformation. It was pretty much, I felt like I was dating the same guy over and over, but this one was probably the worst experience. And I remember waking up one day thinking, this is not what I'm choosing anymore. And I started actually getting into the law of attraction. I'm pretty sure I watched The Secret, which everyone is like the gateway into all this. I watched The Secret and I started to realize, oh my gosh, if I create my own reality, and I started following Abraham Hicks, then I can surely shift this. And I'm done. I'm done with this pattern. I'm done with all of this. And I felt so inspired by, again, long story short, this kind of spiritual door that was busted wide open for me, this personal development door. I started going to every event, reading all these books. Podcasts weren't a thing back then. So, because this was back in probably 2011, 2012 was when this whole journey started for me. And I felt so inspired. I started writing a blog. And soon after I started writing the blog, people started asking how they could work with me. And I didn't know. And I actually went to an intuitive who's now still my mentor today and one of my very best friends. And she, before sharing anything, because I didn't know her at the time, this was the first time I saw her, she wrote down speaker, author, coach, making an impact. And I had full body chills. And I knew that she was right. And I prayed for a sign, and one of my sorority sisters from college messaged me on Facebook and was like, I love your blog. Can you coach me? And I knew in that moment, walking in the halls of my pencil skirt, that something bigger was on the horizon. And it was so freeing. And I just remember feeling like, oh my God, I finally know. I finally understand. I came here for something so much bigger. And this is why I'm getting chills down my legs. This is the something that I've been feeling is meant for me. And I spent 2 years in corporate America trying to grow my business, thinking like, I'm stubborn. I got this myself. I can do it. And I did have some success, but I wasn't charging enough at all to leave a corporate management job. You know, I was with the same company for 7 years. That was like a big deal for me to leave that. And so wasn't making enough, and it wasn't a constant steady stream. It wasn't until I hired someone that I ended up leaving my job finally. Definitely had some struggles, financially, ups and downs when I first left. And I got to this point actually, and I don't know if you know the story, Sarah, but where there's a nickel in my bank account. A client hadn't paid me. I didn't have a steady stream of flow coming in. And I'm like, what is happening? And it was in that moment, that was actually my biggest breakthrough, which we could totally dive way into that because there's so many lessons I want to share with your crew on that. But in that moment, I decided that I was done and with struggling in my business. And I really tapped into my heart, and I really tapped into being in service, and I really tapped into leaping and trusting again, right? That decision, that leap, that trust, that faith, that let's move it into here fully. And that's when my business started taking off. And in 5 months, I had 6 figures booked in my business. And that was the moment it all started blowing up. And the faucet hasn't turned off since. It has not turned off since that time. And so now getting to this point of, now this is what I do and help people because I'm so passionate about this journey that I've been on that's gotten me to this point. And there's so many other women who have a mission like mine. It might look a little different, but it's important that we get our message and our mission and all this out to the world because everyone's craving this. And it's not about us. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the world who needs. It's necessary. It's required. It's our dharma to share this with the world. And so now I'm doing the certification and I'm a business coach and I help people to get their missions up and out there and also tap into the financial abundance because we don't have to struggle. You're not meant to struggle. You're never meant to struggle. And so that I'm so freaking lit up about all of that because I've been on the other side and I understand it. But I also know that each of us that are being called to share a message and to shine, you are meant to be doing that and you're meant to thrive. Struggling is an option. It's a choice. And because I've been able to master the money thing now, having been way on the other side of it, I understand what it takes and who we have to become and rise into in order for it to start flowing.
I love it. I love it. And I have always been so inspired by the way that you manage business and really teach business from the spiritual side of things. I know for me, like I'm like a very left brain oriented person. I'm a super like strategy type person, but I also absolutely love the woo, right? Like on the other side of things, I am constantly really trying to work a lot more into my manifesting, read my oracle cards, do that kind of stuff because I also know how important it is to get into flow. And you just seem like you do it so effortlessly. And I wonder, and my audience, for my audience, is this something that would always happen naturally for you, or was this a huge shift that you made because you were in corporate America too?
I see, I'm so lucky that my team of mentors who I've been guided to learn from and to hire as my own coaches live a life that is similar to me. And I've learned so much from them, and it resonates with me because I also know I see people hustling so much, and having a strategy is important. I teach that with my clients. You have to have a strategy. But I will say I have a lot of ease in my business. I have so much ease, but I'm also committed to showing up every single day. It's been a cultivation, and it's been me pretty much letting go of all identities that have been committed to struggle, all identities that have believed that if I don't do this X, Y, and Z thing, it's not going to bring me to the result that I want. I had to let go of that structure, because really every single thing is a belief. Every single thing is a belief. So if you believe that you have to do this X, Y, and Z thing, then you do. If you believe you get to just show up and shine and people just find you, then you do. Because that really, I would love to tell you, I have this hard thing that I strategize every day. I don't. My strategy is I show up, I share, I shine, I follow my guidance and what I'm being shown to offer, because I've tapped into that gift of being able to really truly connect to where you don't need to pull cards. It's like literally cultivating a direct connection. Even that's like what we're all being called into, is that personal power and personal sovereignty, to be able to just own it and show up and to know what steps to take. And it doesn't always have to make logical sense. A lot of what I do isn't necessarily logical. Some of it is. Some of the guidance I'm given is like, offer this, do this, this is the pricing, this is the thing. Like it'll come in like that for me. And then I take action on it. So there's definitely, it's that marriage, because we also live in this physical world. So we have to make sure that we have a plan and moving forward. Otherwise we're not going to. But I will say I have a lot of ease in my days, a lot of ease with how people show up. And I truly know, because this fact, I always share it, is that your heart is 5,000 times more magnetically powerful than your mind. It's a fact. If you go to heartmath.com, I love it. And I remind myself of that every day. When I'm here, when I'm sharing from here, and Sarah, I know you are from here. Like when I watch your videos and just tapping into your energy, you are very heart-centered. You are very in your mission. At least I feel that. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect in every moment. Doesn't mean that you're perfect in every moment. We're human. We are human, although I like to think I'm superhuman sometimes, most of the time. But really, in truth, this has been a cultivation for me to get here, but it's possible for anyone, because I see it happening for my clients too.
I love that. Yeah. And thank you for such the lovely compliment as well. Because it's always something that I'm trying to cultivate, right? There's one thing that really struck me was when you were talking about identities and how you had to shed all of those identities. And this is something that I love talking about as well, because even earlier on, you were talking about how, like, this isn't about you and this isn't about me. And it's so true. And this is something that I teach a lot too. It's when you actually step into your purpose and your mission, it's not about you anymore. It's not about your fears. It's not about your doubts. It's not about your issues that you had when you were younger. So it's almost like we're like a catalyst, right? Like we are actually like a vessel to be able to really give gifts to the world. And once we start to understand our mission that way, it becomes a lot easier to really step into those roles. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about these identities that you're talking about. Because when I talk about these identities, I always talk about, like your alter ego, right? And so like, what is, on the other side of, well, I can't do this because I came from a poor family, or I can't do this because I lack self-confidence, or I can't do this because of this. And like all of the things that we tell ourselves. What have been like some really important shifts for you in terms of all of those identities and really taking off all those masks?
Yes, this is an amazing question. Thank you for asking it. Because I know, and I truly believe that we're so much more than these physical bodies. that I'm living this life, how I see life and how I've been really been shown that life is a place for us to grow, to evolve, to expand as a soul. And we are we're the soul living this human experience. And once that sunk in and I really was able to feel what that meant on a deep level, I'm like, oh, this is just my life as Amanda. I can create her into whatever I want her to be. So I'm not the past. I'm not that insecure, shy girl that was depressed every day in her car. I don't choose to be her anymore. I don't choose to be that version of me girl, I was so shy. People don't even believe it when I tell them about who I was. The people that know me from the past have seen such dramatic shifts in me. And I continue to shift because every day I face those things that come up for me. So, if there's that fear that comes up that says, you're terrified of public speaking, or you're this or you're that, like, I don't choose to believe or grab a hold of that version of myself anymore. And really what it requires us to do is to walk through that fear, to face it, to question it, and to really, I just get curious about it, like a way to shed that old coat, that old energy that we don't need anymore, is to just not attach so much to it. But like, you can look at it as though it's something outside of you instead, and just get curious about why you were that way. And really for me, the way through that is this is something I teach, and this is something I do even with my business clients, is to go back to that moment when we were feeling that fear. So for me, the other day, I was actually just going back to my high school self. I'm like, I don't think I've actually faced this part of my life or really like looked at this deeper. And I know there could be some really cool things that would come from this. And I sat with her, like, it's actually makes me emotional thinking about it. I sat with that version of me and I hugged her and I held her and I loved her. And I said, girl, if you know what's coming for you, like, this could really heal you right now in this moment. Like, this could really help you. I'm getting chills from head to toe right now. This could really help you like, holy crap, something big is happening for you. And you don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about this high school experience right now. You don't need to worry about all these things that are going through your mind. Like, you are amazing and you're epic. And it's time for you to remember that and know that. We can actually quantum heal ourselves. It's so healing. And just from an energetic standpoint, it, like, a lot happens when we do that. And we can not only heal ourselves now, but we can actually heal who we've been in the past. It's really cool. So really, that's what I do. I slay through every single thing that comes up for me. It's kind of, there's many different ways to do that. But it's really, again, it's like, this is an identity that I was in the past. This is something that I've participated in the past, and I'm just not going to choose to do this anymore. So how can I love myself through it, process, question, uncover why it is? And now how can I take that lesson and turn it into something cool? How can I now stand for stepping forward from that, right? Like, now confidence for me is everything in growing a business. So now this is something I teach my business clients, right? But that's something I deeply struggled with. So I'm taking that pitfall and I'm turning it into purpose.
Beautiful. And that is so freaking inspiring. And I think that the most amazing part of all of this is the fact that like you are an example, right? For all of the women out there who are really struggling with this, who are really like, well, Amanda Marit just has everything put together. Like, I could never be like her, right? Or I can never be like Sara, who just goes on Instagram stories and just like speaks their truth. But it's not something that's just innate. It's something that is really cultivated inside of you. And really anyone can cultivate it.
Yes, everyone can. If I can do it, anyone can do it. We're just the ones that have stepped through the fears first. And, there's at one point when you and I were both in a space where we didn't have clients, we didn't have businesses, and we were stuck in fear, and we had these things, right? And so it's because we've said yes to our growth, because we've said yes to pretty much like walking through the fire is the only reason why we're both here. Because it's not been without fear. It's just been with a lot of courage.
I know. And walking through the fire, I love that, because I feel like it's so much more than, and I say this all the time, you know, like online business, really stepping into everything that it is that you truly want to do is more than just a plug and play strategy, right? It's more than just showing up on an Instagram story. It really is, it is that walking through the fire. It's acknowledging that. And I remember for so long, I think, right. And it's so funny because our stories are so similar. I was in my career for 6.5 years. And I always wanted to move because I'm from in and around Toronto, Ontario, very close to Michigan.
I thought I heard a little Canadian in your accent.
Yeah, I'm Canadian. And now I live in Nicaragua, as you know.
Yes,
I
which
moved
is so
here.
Cool.
Yeah, just over a year ago, or like exactly a year ago. And I remember there was at one point in time where I kept on telling my friends, like, if I'm going to do this, I need to like completely alter who I think I am. Like, I really need to step into this person who I know that I want to become, because this is so much more than anything I've ever experienced before. Like, this is like, and it's almost otherworldly when you think about it, because like, it's almost like a completely different dimension that you're coming into.
You're speaking my language, girl. Yes. That is 100% how it's been for me too. Altering who we think we are, questioning even who we think we are. I love that.
And it's amazing once you can and like, for so long, and I don't know if was what it felt like for you too, but for so long, I remember telling one of my friends who, she was actually in New Hampshire, I think. She quit her job, her and her husband quit their jobs. They sold their house. Like within like 6 months, they had moved to Florida because that's really what they wanted to do. And I remember telling her, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can actually go into my manager and give her my 2 weeks notice and, you know, like, and do all of this on my own. And she's like, Sarah, you can. You just like, you have no idea what's ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I like, it's so beautiful, and it's so beautiful to have and to really be able to connect with other people. And even for everyone listening, if you want to do something similar, I know that so many women who I talk to want to do something similar. And there's so much fear, but to like, even to know that there are so many people like us, right, who have just like been able to kind of step through that. I think it's a really beautiful experience that we can all share with each other.
Yes, because everyone goes through that. And it does, everyone has to have like that same amount of trust. And oh my God, the leap and trust thing, that's my signature move, is leaping, trusting, and knowing that I'm going to be supported when I make that leap. You know, granted, I take the action and show up for it and meet the universe halfway, but leaping and trusting and knowing that everything that you need and that will be required for you is going to show up. I mean, I've done that so many times. When I left my corporate job, I didn't have any money saved. That's another story. And here I am. And I knew that's probably what I needed to take the jump and to know that I could, and prove to myself that I could make it happen. You know, since I've moved across the country again to Southern California now just moved to Laguna Beach. And all of these things are leaps, right? All of these things are just, now I just know and trust, because I've done this so many times now, where now I just don't even question it. I go where I'm being guided to go. I do what I'm being guided to do. And I just know it's going to show up, because in truth, the reason is just because I'm here to serve, and that's my number one. The rest is just side effect.
Yeah. And let's go back, because I know that you were talking about how you had you just had a nickel in your bank account, and there was like a massive breakthrough there. And I think that a lot of people just kind of think, okay, like you start a business, or like, you know, someone who's like really, really well put together, or someone who has a really amazing, successful business, like you just kind of start it and it all goes uphill from there, right? Like everything is just like one glorious uphill. And like, if you have any issues, it's because it doesn't work. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that breakthrough for you, and like how we can inspire more people with it.
Yeah, this story is one of my favorites, and I love sharing it, and I'm grateful for the story. Although in the moment, I was kind of like, all right, this is not cool. Of
course.
There was one other time when I actually even overdrafted on my account. And this was the first part of like right when I left out of my corporate job. And, you know, when I first left, it did show up. I had a $10K a month right when I put my notice in, which was really cool. It was like a little affirmation. from the universe. And I was really just aligned and really excited. And then it went up and down after that. And yeah, the moment when I had 5 cents in my bank account, I was at a coffee shop. I'll never forget this moment. I was in the line and I thought I had plenty of money in my bank account because I didn't realize some other payment or thing went through and a client didn't pay me. And so it was just kind of a mess moment. And I had that moment. I'm like, okay, I can either freak out and really get taken down by this, or I can objectively look at it. And I kind of laughed, to be honest with you. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. And it was very calm. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I surrender. I take full responsibility. The thing is, I never blame a force outside of me. I take full responsibility. I created that. I created that experience. No, it didn't have to happen that way. It doesn't have to happen that way for anyone. That's why I'm passionate about sharing this. It does not have to be anyone else's reality. And I don't want it to be, because it's not fun. But I also know I've now mastered and know and really truly understand what it means to be fully supported in every moment. Because in that moment, it required me to get into my heart even more. It required me to stop pushing and forcing and trying to come up with all these different strategies and all these different things. It wasn't the strategy that wasn't working. It was me. It was my energy. It was who I was being. It was, because I was so in so much scarcity, I was definitely in that mode of, I have to get a client. 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 Right. And of course I still was loving my clients and giving everything in service. But my dominant frequency that I was operating from was, I need a client, which is scarcity, which is lack. Yeah. And so I knew that. And in that moment, I'm like, I have no choice. I can't have fear anymore. I have to have faith. And I pretty much snapped into this space of, it's going to work. I have to this space of, I don't even know it's like hyper alignment, where all of a sudden my fears were blocked out of me and I just showed up and served. And my mindset, I was just washing it with thoughts of, I'm booked out, I'm joyfully booked out. I get to serve people. Who needs me the most? Like, who can I help? Who can I impact? And I literally was in that alignment and snapped right into that and followed any of the guidance that I was getting on what to do, who to reach out to, who to show up for, whatever. And it always worked. I always was able to pay every bill, every single bill. Beautiful. I never missed a bill. Even all my credit cards that I had, never missed a bill. I wasn't available for that energetically. And 2.5 weeks of being in full alignment with that, I looked back and I had near $20,000 month in my business.
The last thing that I heard was, I never missed a bill. And so you were talking about credit card bills and all that kind of stuff. I never missed a bill.
Yeah. I never missed a bill, which was amazing. I just wasn't energetically available for that in that moment. It just wasn't something that I was willing to stoop that low to. And I didn't want to ask my parents for help. I didn't want to ask anyone for help. And I was not going to go and look for another job. I would have rather hacked an arm off than done that. I was going to find a way to make sure that this could work. And, as I snapped into my heart fully and literally kept my mind washed with those thoughts of, I'm booked out. I get to have clients. I am powerful. I'm a powerful healer. I'm a powerful teacher. And really just asking Source, God, Divine, who needs me right now? Who can I be of service to? I'm here. And really just believing in myself, believing in my work like no other. With 2.5 weeks, I looked back and I had a $19,400 month booked to my business.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I get what energy I need to carry now with this. I understand who I need to be for this to start working. And I understand it's not about pushing, forcing, hustling. It's not about even what you're doing necessarily. If those action steps are empty, if you're not being that version of you, the action we need to take, that's a must, but it's more about who I was being for me. So when I combined the two, oh my God, it kept going. And within 5.5 months, 6 figures in my business. And like I'd mentioned to you, it hasn't stopped flowing for me, and have hit bigger milestones since monthly. So far bigger. So here's the thing is I get now and understand that when I'm in service, when I am so lit up on my message, when my heart is on fire with what I'm sharing, that fire pulls me forward into so much abundance for those people and for myself. And now I'm seeing how this has worked for my clients. You know, it came to a point where all these people were starting to come to me asking how they could become a coach, how they could grow a business and all that. And so then I knew the universe was like, all right, you master this, please go teach this now. And I have been since, and it's been amazing what has unfolded, and just lots of ease, lots of flow, doesn't mean that I'm not, to me, it's just, I guess it's easy too, because I love what I do so much. It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the overall goal, right?
Yeah.
That's what you really want to strive towards. And I think, you know, you owe it to yourself to, like, for this ability to really be able to push past all of those things that you had to go through in order to get to where you are today. And I just had actually one of my old money mindset coaches, Chelsea Kayer, on the show. And we were talking about, and one of the things that she helps me with the most, and I think I was working with her back in May and June of 2018. And one of the things that she helped me with most was this whole, like, I hear that a lot of doing, I don't feel a lot of being. And that was a huge shift for me too, because it was so true. I was so focused on the doing. And, you know, like, as a left-brained, strategy-oriented person who, like, loves numbers and analyzing everything, that's when I was like pushing. And then when I really started to open up, like, the inspiration funnel, right? Like, and just like going down that, like, it's, you know, like, I hit my first five-figure month, like, very quickly in my business. And just like, I was so grateful for that. And that intuitive guidance that I've kind of started receiving from there. So yeah, I love that. I'm wondering too, you know, because we're talking about this from a place where it's just like, yay, divine inspiration, you know, like, all of this stuff works, and it's, you can have ease, but for someone who isn't quite there yet, for someone who really wants to believe it, but's having trouble really letting go, what are, like, the biggest things that you would recommend for them?
Yeah. So, okay, this is something that's coming in initially for me that I do with my clients is so we need to also understand that those fears are just of the mind, and they're just trying to keep us safe. And so what helps is if you start to, again, kind of detach from that identity of that version of you, those thoughts, that loop, that hamster wheel that we run on of, I can't have this, it can't be easy for me. And we have to start not believing that anymore. We have to take time every morning to gather our fear up. You can create a name for your fear. One of my clients in our VIP day a couple weeks ago, she named hers Felicia. And so she's like,
love it.
Bye, Felicia. So, no, but with love, every morning, fear, we're not doing this anymore. We're not going to believe this anymore. This isn't who we are. This is a part of the human mind. And you have to question all of these invisible glass ceilings that we put up for ourselves. That's not real. That's the BS of our mind. It's lies. I know that sounds harsh, but it's lies. They're all lies. We are limitless and free, and start to question that every single day, and to step outside of that, because it's like when we allow ourselves to really get taken down by that thought, that feeling, that belief, it's like I get shown, it's like we're woven kind of in the fabric of it, and it feels like it's us, like we're that thought, we're that belief. You have to know we're not in there. We're not in with it. And so taking time to talk to that fear every day, and again, snapping into your heart. So it's a matter of talk to that fear, step out of that story, question it. It's not real. It's a lie. It's a lie. And then get back into your heart and really get into your why. And when you allow your why to pull you forward, and your heart, again, to pull you forward, and you know that the message you have to share is powerful, that's the first thing, is you've got to get behind your message. You've got to get behind what you're doing. You have to get behind what you're sharing. You have to be lit the F up by it. Then it's, again, we go back into, it's not about me. It's about It's about the people who need me. And when you're in that and you're sharing from that energy, magic will happen. The people will feel it. They'll feel the authenticity. They'll feel the love. They'll feel the power behind the words you're sharing. Because to me, I see people all the time. They're taking all the right steps, right? I see their pages all the time and I'm like, they're taking all the right steps, but it's flat for me. Like when I'm on their page, it feels flat. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels forced. It feels curated. It doesn't feel full of heart energy to me. It doesn't feel warm. So for me, it's like they're in their head. They're not fully in their heart and being their heart's authentic self and not their heart's authentic truth. And that's why their business isn't moving. That's why it's not easy for them.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I think that that's one thing that you wrote, even within our prep, is just like the importance of listening to your heart over your mind. And there, like we oftentimes have it the opposite way, right? And I think that the vast majority of people do. The vast majority of people are just like, we're all in our heads, right? And I think it's so beautiful that like you've really been able to, one, create your own business around this, and two, inspire so many other women to do the same and like have, so much success for everyone as a result.
Yeah. And we're meant to, on a soul level, ease is only known. Abundance is only known. Like there's so much more money that people aren't even tapping into. It's just a resource, a tool to be free. It doesn't complete us. I believe that we can have luxury and be spiritual because it's just a choice. It's not emotional. This is what I teach to my people. It's like black or white. What one do you choose? Do you choose to have money or do you choose to not have money? I know that triggers some people hearing that because they're like, well, I'm choosing it. Well, you're not with your energy. Your mind, body, and soul is not tuned to the energy, the radio station of abundance. It's like we can scan ourselves. Am I emitting this energy that is abundance, or am I thinking thoughts of lack or not enough? And it's like, I'm going to be doing a training or something on this soon, because for me, it's like, when you can tap into that frequency and emit that frequency, then it does get to be ease, like, because your soul only knows that. And it's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. This has been such a breath of fresh air. I feel like people are going to love this episode. So tell me to just kind of like wrap things up, although I don't want to, I also want to keep these episodes like not, 2 hours long, because I feel like this could totally happen with us. But, what are you working on right now? I mean, I know what you're working on right now. I'm really excited about it. But what are you working on right now? Where can we find you? Like, what is the best way for people to kind of like continue to consume all of the amazing stuff that you're putting out there?
Yes, thank you. So I show up every single day on my Instagram. So that's really where you want to find me first. And so my handle is @theAmandaMarit. And so find me there, follow me there. And right now I'm most excited about a couple of things. One is my Soul Mastery Coaching certification. The doors are open right now. And this is something that I'm going to be launching a few different times. This group is actually almost full. I do have a couple spaces left, but I know that I'm going to be running more of them soon. So if you feel the pull to step into coaching and you really want to master your skills, because here's the thing is why I'm creating this is most people will come to me to grow their coaching business. But when I really look behind the scenes, they're not that confident. They're just wanting to jump into starting a coaching business. And I just know all the things that I've been guiding my clients through have been so powerful that it's time to teach it to others. So the first 3 months is about mastering your skills as a coach. And then the second 3 months is for those who want to build a 6-figure business. So it's for those with that intention of coming in, of knowing they're going to learn how to do that and actually have a map on how they can get there, and a strategy and a plan to put into place to help them to step into that. So it's both combined, and it's a 6-month certification of people from all over the world. I now have one New Zealand, Finland, UK, US, all over. So I'm really excited about that. And then along with that is I have a free rewiring audio that I think is really going to help the people in your group. And a lot of magic has been happening for people that aren't even my clients, have been having breakthroughs from listening to it regularly. So it's designed to help your mind to actually be rewired to really allow and invite in a stream of clients and abundance into your business. And again, like magic, I get messages every day of things that have been happening for people from listening to it. So that's free on my site. So you can find that at amandamarit.com.
Perfect. And I will include all of those within the show notes. I feel like I want to access your audio too. So I'm like, oh my goodness, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, do it and let me know how it goes.
Right. Yes, yes. Oh my goodness.
And thank you so much for having me on. I feel like we could talk forever.
I know. Okay. Thank you so much, Amanda. You guys should totally check Amanda out, even if it's just to see her amazing, amazing new place in Laguna Beach. It looks so beautiful, so relaxing, so inspirational. Thank you so much for being here, Amanda.
Thank you, Sarah. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Mwah. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarahjlorero.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.